sometimes I forget the very easy lessons that I had learned before. Sometimes I have writer's block.
Yeah.
And I'm not doing one of these two things to try to solve it.
Yeah.
I might just be sitting there upset with myself, which isn't actually the solution, which is not the solution for sure. Good afternoon, morning, or evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of the Design Exchange podcast. I'm your host, Thomas Grové, and a very special guest, Julien Noyer. Am I saying that correctly?
Yeah, definitely. In French, it's going to be, because I'm French, it's going to be Julien Noyer, but I'm completely fine with the Americanization of my name, Julien Noyer.
Okay.
I'm cool
All
with
right.
that.
Welcome. Thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for inviting me.
Here's a fun fact. The intro graphic that I used on videos on this YouTube channel, when I started this channel, that intro animation was designed and animated by Julien here.
I remember that. And for the side note, it was my first job in Vietnam.
Oh.
It
was your second job because I met you on a film shoot.
Oh yeah, that's right. Right. But it didn't feel like a job. The film, the movie.
Did you ever end up watching that movie?
Never. Did you?
And it was kind of hard to find. I think I did find it at one point, and the whole thing had been dubbed into Italian.
Yeah. Yeah, it's an Italian movie.
Which made me think, why did the director or the assistant director keep yelling quiet on the set? Well, there was no point because they redid all the audio in post
anyway.
Anyways.
Yeah. Mm.
We were both extras in a Italian-produced movie that in part took place during the Vietnam War, and it was the first Western movie about the Vietnam War to be filmed in Vietnam. Which is another side note, another fun fact.
Cool. Yeah. I met you on the set. I met Morgan from Indica. I met Sam, who's gone now. Like a bunch of friends, a bunch of people who became my friend, and a bunch of network connections. Like I met you, and that gave me my second gig then in Vietnam. But like my first gig as a professional in my field at the time, which was motion design, video, and became VJ and 3D mapping artists.
Right. So I have primarily known you as a VJ and a motion graphics artist, but you're doing something very different now.
Yep, absolutely. I'm doing something quite different because I'm a hypnotherapist. I practice hypnosis. It's been more than 3 years now. Time flies, and my practice is taking off in a sense because I'm also doing it internationally by Skype call, Facebook call, Zoom. It's different than video, motion design, and all of that.
I'm actually curious. One, how did you get into hypnotherapy? 2, what is hypnotherapy? And 3, which parts of hypnosis that are seen in popular culture are true, and which parts are not true?
Okay. There are a bunch of questions. Okay, the first one is like, how did I get into that? I think, well, I remember exactly how I suddenly sparkle interest on that. It's my mom, who's a psychotherapist in France, who did training to add hypnotherapy as a toolkit. She just wanted to have this extra skill for her practice. And she, on one of our call, she just mentioned it, and it didn't do much to me. I didn't get so interested on that. I didn't ask her to engage in the topic more, but she said you should check online this guy and his name is Kevin Finel, is a very famous hypnotherapist in France, but I didn't know at the time. So she just gave me his name, dropped his name. I went on YouTube. I watched one video of him doing a demo on someone. And it's just a demo about hypnotherapy. It's not so much the classical hypnosis that we might think of, where like you cluck like a chicken or you do weird dances. Like it was just this guy has some, I don't remember what it was, but maybe something around the line of anxiety and depression. And this guy, Kevin Finel, just talked to him for a while. And the subject or the client, the patient, at some point just closed his eyes and lift his hand. But you could tell that he was not doing it like voluntary. You could tell that it was just happening. And you could tell that in the language that was being used, it was supposed to happen, but it was not directly ordered to be happen. So that was a strange. It's even strange when I probably explain it, but me it blew my mind watching this video. So after that, I do what we all do when we start to get interested on a topic on YouTube. I went from a video to another to another to another. I ended up contacting the training center of Kevin Finel to say to ask them how can I learn that, and they gave me.
So is hypnotherapy or hypnosis something that somebody can learn just through YouTube, or do you have to go through some kind of certification course?
At the moment, if we are just talking about certifications, there are no, in most countries, there are not regulations. It's not a regulated profession. So you can technically go on some online courses, learn a bit of it, and then open your practice. However, for having done both, and online courses, YouTube videos, and also live trainings, I would say that live trainings are actually teaching you. When you watch videos on YouTube, you will never get this rapport that you have with someone who's. It's just like the difference between watching a movie and seeing something happening in real life. You just don't have the same level of involvement and emotion, I guess. I don't know how to explain that, but yeah, live training is, I would say, 100 times more efficient when it comes to learning than watching videos.
How about versus 3D?
Oh yeah, that's a good comparison. I was going to do it actually about learning After Effects online. For example, I learned Cinema 4D online only. I've never met anybody. I've met one guy who helped me for some tips, but mostly I was doing it online. And yeah, it's different because you learn online and the tool is right here on the same screen. And it's a bunch of steps that you need to follow. So then you get the result that you want. I mean, in 3D, right? Or After Effects or animations or video editing, anything that is an online, that is software application. But then when it comes to hypnosis, there are steps, right? But there is not a step-by-step process that would work with everybody all the time at any moment. Yeah, it's you need to get the logic of it. It's really more about learning any, I would say, technical skills online. Like even, okay, my dad used to repair his cars by watching YouTube videos. So that would work. It's a step-by-step process. You follow it scrupulously and then you fix your car or whatever you want to fix. But when it comes to any work related to human rapport, then you always have to adjust. Like I follow one of the class that I follow, one of them was from this Canadian hypnotherapist. He was doing straight hypnosis. So it's more like for the cool effects that you can see where people forget their name or have their hands stick on the table. It's not really, it doesn't have any therapeutic purpose, but it's still fun and fun tool to learn. So I was following his class and he has one girl who who was helping him for the video, and she was the subject, he would apply a bunch of way of sentencing, of phrasing what he was saying, and give some step-by-step processes. But it was working right there with her. And that doesn't necessarily mean that if I follow the exact same process, that would work with you, you know. But they always tell you in the hypnotherapy field, in the hypnosis field, to learn from a lot of different sources and always be flexible and willing to adapt with the person you are doing hypnosis with. And I'm saying hypnosis with because people tend to think that it's I'm doing hypnosis on someone. Like I'm doing hypnosis, I have this weird, strange power, and I make you do things. So here, this is the first myth we can debunk. There's no such thing as a powerful hypnotist who just make you do things. There's always in the background this active collaboration.
So that means when somebody stands on a table and acts like a chicken, you're just uncovering their latent desire to really act like a chicken?
I wouldn't even say it doesn't even go that far. Like when you went to school, there was this funny guy in each class. At least there's one funny guy, right? He's the one who joke in front of the teacher, is never shy. He clowning around in front of the board. And we all enjoy seeing this guy doing his stuff. Now, 20 years later, everybody is working here and there. Some have families, and in a crowd of people, in the audience watching a, let's say, hypnosis show, there's going to be one of these joker will be in the middle of the crowd, one of this funny guy, and he is going to be the one who's being picked, and is going to be used as the one who dances and act like a chicken. So now the job of the hypnotist will be to pick the right subject more than applying some weird power to make anybody does that. Because now we are into the second field of hypnosis, or the other field of hypnosis. I was talking about the the therapeutic side first. So you help people. I help people to heal from anxiety, stress, depression, phobias, and on. And the other side, the one we are mentioning right now, is for entertainment. So we call it stage hypnosis. So back to it, in stage hypnosis, the job of the hypnotist is to pick the right subjects and then ask them to do whatever. And they are... like there's a debate in the hypnosis community whether or not there's a state of trance, like an actual state of trance where you kind of like close your eyes, let go, and things are happening in a different way that they would. But that's debatable, and I tend to believe that there's no such thing as like being in a trance and you're connecting with your unconscious. This kind of it's more one thing, rather than there's your conscious mind, your unconscious. I wouldn't go for something like this. I don't believe that there's an unconscious mind, all powerful, taking care of you. You know, when you change something in your life, there are motivation that you might not know right now that you have, but we could find them. But that doesn't mean that they are hidden. Usually they are just held back from, because you have some fears or anxiety. Fears is like driving a lot of people anyway.
What would be a difference then between therapy, and I guess there should be different methods of therapy, like cognitive behavioral therapy, and I don't know if there's like Freudian or, but there's different
classical, I don't know if you can call it like that, but like psychology as we know it, like the talk about your childhood and let's find the root of the cause. It's another form of therapy, like thousands of different ways of doing therapy.
So where would hypnotherapy fit within this spectrum of therapies?
The thing is, hypnotherapy is something you can combine with anything you want. It's also a thing on its own, right? Like people will use hypnotherapy and And by using hypnosis, they will make you have like kind of a regression. That's what they call it, like 5-step regression. I think, if I'm not wrong, this is not my specialty, like the regression into childhood. But once again, like some believe that there's no such thing. You just go back into memories that are not accurate anyway. But I'm not going to discuss about whether or not I believe in this or that. Some people go and see a witch or a fortune teller and they get better. So it's not so much about what I think is accurate or not. It's all about what works. So yeah, it's not even a topic I really want to go into anyway. It's more interesting. Like if you believe that because now you know the root cause or the so-called root cause of your current issue, then you feel better, then this is the way to treat your issue then. Yeah. But not for everybody. Like I'm not going to say it's been proved, but root cause, when you think that you found the root cause of your current problems, that doesn't necessarily mean that now you feel better. You just link it to something that happens. You're like, oh, it's because of that I'm like this.
Well, so what would be the best case scenario for hypnotherapy? What would be a condition I would have that I could actually make great progress in changing?
Well, there's anything that you could change, really, like as long as it's linked to,
like if I'm an asshole, could you make me not an asshole?
Well, that's okay. This is subjective because maybe someone might not find that you're an asshole.
Because some people think I'm an asshole.
But some people do. All right, we can say that, but some might not consider that you're an asshole. It's more about like, what do you think about yourself and what do you think you could do,
right,
to improve yourself, or to
What if my problem is that I think I'm great?
You think you're great,
right?
But you're not.
But I happen to not be.
Yeah, but all of this, okay, all of this is subjective. All of this is, some people are what we would call, we would judge them as not successful and lazy and not taking care of their family. But then you talk to them and they feel great. So it's not really about what people should do. And there is not like a frame where we need to put all of them and they need to follow the exact same. It's more about like, are you willing to be happy with yourself right now? And what is holding you back from it? Me, I'm really into like looking for happiness. I know it's I organized an event not too long ago. It's a little talk of like almost 2 hours. There was one of my colleague, young Kate, who might see this podcast, I don't know. She did a meditation at the end. So we had this event almost 2 months ago, and I was giving a step-by-step process about happiness. And one of the first thing I said during the talk was, there is no step-by-step process. It's not how I perceive it. It's not how I think it should be perceived. As long as you compare real-life problems, step-by-step mechanic problem, to psychological problems, you will struggle.
My current condition seems to be that.
Are we doing a session right now?
I don't know. It'd be interesting if you could actually hypnotize me on camera. I don't know what that would mean, but.
Oh, do you want to try something now?
Okay.
Yeah. You want to try something now?
Sure.
Some just simple effect that's. I've been doing straight hypnosis a little bit in Saigon. Look out, just put your hand like this. Okay, just like if you were praying and pray that
already. Like,
that's right, and pray that it's going to be okay.
Don't touch my hands together.
That's right. See, that's the first step.
Right.
I made you do that.
Right.
So, okay, I'm going to ask you to turn a little bit because the mic is a little bit in front of you, and just make sure you have your hands like this and right. That's perfect. Open your hands a little bit, like 30, 40 centimeters, and just keep your two hands like this, and make sure they just stick here, okay? And I'm gonna ask you to just focus all of your attention in between these two hands. But mic is on the way. So maybe what you can just do is close your eyes and imagine that there is something in between these two hands.
Got it.
That's right. Just keep your eyes closed and imagine that there's a little cloud. Okay?
Imagine that there's a cloud between my hands.
Just imagine that there's a little cloud in between these two hands and just close your eyes and feel the cloud. That's right. And as you imagine this cloud, the color of it, the feeling of having it, now just imagine that there is a magnet here and a second magnet here. Two very strong, powerful magnets coming together. And you're going to find that it's interesting because the more you focus on the cloud, the more you can remember this time when you were a kid and you played with two magnets and you found these two magnets coming together all by themselves. And the more you're trying to pull them apart, the closer it comes. That's right. And you can just take a deep breath in. And that's right. As you're breathing out, you can just completely leave these two hands and the magnets coming together closer and closer. And if you try to pull them apart, you find that the more you try, the closer it comes. That's right. And you might find some kind of weird little resistance. That's right. And it's going to come closer and closer as you can hear the sound around you, the sound of my voice, each word that I'm saying helping you to imagine these magnets, strong and powerful, coming together closer and closer. That's right. You can give me a feedback how you feel right now.
I'm enjoying the act of visualizing this cloud.
Cool.
It's kind of fun.
Yeah.
I've always enjoyed the sensation of magnets, you know, the way that they repel.
Yeah.
More so the way that they repel each other than the way that they attract.
That's right.
Because when they attract, it's like so fast.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But with the repel, you can kind of squish them like
so you kind of like felt like it was like a negative and they were repelling each other.
I just didn't want to slap my hands together, you know. Like
yeah. See, it goes back to what we said before. Like, there's no such thing as I want you to do. It's more like, what experience are you willing to enjoy? Like, I had a case where I would do this effect. I do this effect with a lot of people because it's simple to set up. And this person was telling me the same thing that you said, and keep their hand like this. And when I said the hands coming together, he said, it cannot. And I said, why that? I said, because they are the same pole. Do we say that?
Polarity.
Polarity, they have the same polarity. It's like a negative and negative. So they just stay like this and they're repelling each other. So I just pretend that I'm turning one of those, and then he could find his hand coming together. Yeah. And if you play the game for longer, you may find that you can actually switch that and have this. And you just like keep these two hands like this. Yeah. What happened to you right now? Did you just like push?
I mean, I just thought, okay, let me visually flip it, and then let me also push my hands together because that's what would happen.
Well, you can like it. You can this. Okay, this is interesting because what you've just done here on the stage could appear as I made you do it, but the fact that I'm not saying it out loud, people would think that I use some power. But like, for example, you just had your hand coming together because you feel like, oh, I want to feel what it feels now to have them together, right? So the whole difference between the therapeutic hypnosis and the way I would do it, which is like very transparent, is I'm going to say what's happening and ask you a lot of feedbacks. But stage hypnosis will tend to like give order and direction, and people would just obey nicely, and on stage it will just look great. It would look like he's having a power. So yeah.
How about
oh yeah, well that's just like when I ask you to
sorry for those who are listening.
No, it's okay. It's a pendulum.
Yeah, how about I was going to say a pocket watch, right? Like swinging a pendulum or pocket watch back and forth.
Well, that would work. I guess it's not really so much about like what device you're using. It's more about where do you focus your attention. Yeah. So when I ask you to close your eyes or imagine this little cloud in between these two hands is the equivalent of following a pendulum. It's just, you just imagine something and you just focus your attention on it.
What I liked when I had my eyes closed is on several occasions you would say, "That's right." And I was like, I don't know what I'm doing, but it's nice to have the confirmation that I'm doing the right thing.
Yep. Yeah. Now the problem is like you're too relaxed. You cannot engage in conversation
Right.
as quickly as before.
Hypnotize me into being an excellent podcast host.
Well, I think you're doing great already. Do you really think you need me for that?
I don't know if that's part of the treatment or if that's a legitimate question.
Yeah. Well, the way I will do, I'm just, you didn't ask me any question, but I just go on the topic that suddenly pops up. But the way I would work with clients in my practice is not so much about adding things. Like you said, can you make me a better podcaster? Can you make sure I'm not an asshole? Can you and usually people comes with requests of add all these layers of things that I want to do. I want more motivation, more creativity. I want to be a better person in this and that levels. And I will not do that ever.
Because you don't want to?
No, because I don't think it's first, when someone comes with like a specific request of you make me do that, then they already got it wrong, because there's ultimately they are going to be the one who do the change, who make the change for themselves, and I don't have the power to make them change. What we can work on right now, and it's going to be a collaboration, is change the way they think right now at the moment about a certain situation. So I'll tend to skim off things, like remove things out of the way so they can move forward better, like in move forward in life, and we just remove obstacles. So my way of working is about removing obstacles, and obstacles are going to be fear, anxiety, stress, and all the things I mentioned before. Because I found that it's when you don't have much in your mind, and when you are in the light flow state, kind of, feeling yourself lifting up, that you can just do things that you need to do. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And also, it's a bit biased because this is the way I work. When I have like a long list of things to do, I tend to do none of them. So it's when everything is clear and I have directions, obviously, that I can go somewhere. But when I see that I have my whiteboard at home and it's full of things to tick for today, I have an application, Wonderlist, that's full of points to tick, full of this. I'm not going to do any of them. It's too much. I used to work with the coach, and this guy would give me a lot of homework, and I would do none of them. So to me, it doesn't work. And I tend to have client agree that for them it's good too. But if someone really have the expectation that he should now be more creative because we're going to do hypnosis together, then it's not a good start.
If we look at the human condition, and I'm not sure how much of this is universal, mm-hmm. or how much of this is specific to people working in creative fields. Mm-hmm. If you have a insight either way, please let me know. But you could be dealing with something like writer's block, or feeling that you don't have any good ideas, feeling that you're uninspired, or having a lack of creativity. Mm-hmm. You could have a problem with procrastination, or getting things done, or even attacking the first thing on your to-do list. And you could just generally feel overwhelmed with existential dread.
Okay. Yeah, sure. Right? Yeah. That makes sense.
These are kind of things that could hinder one from being happy, as you were suggesting.
Yeah.
Or actually producing work.
I agree with you. Yeah, right? I agree with you.
And I guess I find myself coming up against all those things from time to time.
Yeah.
The thing about creativity is, for me, I think lightning in a bottle is very rare. It's very rare that you're like, okay, today I have to write a great novel, and now I have a good idea for that novel, right? I think you're more going to be more successful in one or two paths. One, you just start working on some project and without the expectation of it being brilliant. And then while you're doing it, you'll see opportunities to make it better. And all those small improvements added together will, be what's the lightning in the bottle, right? What's the creative genius of the work, right? Or when you're presented with specific problems, I don't know how to solve this problem. Then you could come up with a great solution for that problem. How does your character get from point A to point B in the story? Or how do you justify a certain action of a character, for instance?
Yeah.
In my case, it tends to be video games more so. So it's like, how do I present the level in a way that is visually appealing, but also doesn't tax the resources of the computer system too highly or whatever, right? I mean, but the whole overall. So that's one tip out there. Just if you're having writer's block or whatever the equivalent in your field is, just start working on something. Doesn't matter. And then through the process of just getting in the flow of working, you'll have better stuff come up. You don't have to write the great thing first. You can write a bunch of crap and then delete it when you have something better later. The other 2 points, or do you have anything to add on that one first?
Getting into any task and go into the flow of working and being productive to then later on catch up with what's more meaningful or more productive. I think it's a great tip. I would add that, it's like what you said, like starting with the draft, starting by doing something and it's terrible, it's better than not starting at all. If something is worth doing, it's usually worth doing very bad at first. I don't think anybody comes up with a great idea without all the bad ideas before, or all the one that didn't work, if we don't want to label them bad. Yeah. That's great tip, Thomas. I would say, like, seriously, you can write this one down under the video.
So I had
tip number 1,
an alternative to that, and that is when you have hit your head against the wall for a long time and you're not able to come up with the idea, go for a walk or take a shower or go for a swim or go exercise or go for a coffee and get yourself out of that situation.
Yeah.
And maybe, one, your life will just be better. But 2, if you did have a problem that was particularly hard to solve, maybe you'll come up with the solution when you're not trying to find the solution.
Yep. Yeah.
There's that.
That's a good one. These 2 are already on point. Right. I'm not gonna say suddenly, I was going to say that, but they are practical, good practical advices. And whoever's listening to it, Thomas Grové.
I mean, it would be ridiculous to say that I embody these things. I'm constantly failing at living a good life or being a good designer or whatever, right? And sometimes I forget the very easy lessons that I had learned before. Sometimes I have writer's block.
Yeah.
And I'm not doing one of these 2 things to try to solve it. Yeah. I might just be sitting there upset with myself, which isn't actually the solution, which is not the solution for sure. Definitely go exercise or just do some work instead, right?
Yeah.
It's interesting how these things, it's like the stereotypical good game takes a minute to learn and a lifetime to master. Right? So it's like that. The other two things, having big lists of things to do and having that list be so long that you just get overwhelmed by it and decide not to work on any of it.
Yeah. I wasn't like completely dismissing the list thing, because it's always good to know what you have to do, right? You cannot just remember everything. It's, to me, what does the trick when I absolutely need a few points on the list is to change formats. I have lists in different, I have lists on the board, and then I will not pay attention to the board purposely. So then I write another list on my Google Calendar. And then when I don't pay attention to the Google Calendar, I trick myself into putting lists where I'm not used to have them. Like I would have them on a piece of paper. I can have it inside my wallet. But yeah, it's just micromanaging. But
when I have lists, and it can be, I'll oftentimes use Trello.
Yeah.
Which is like a Kanban board. Or I will, I'll just have a text document, to-do.txt.
Okay.
On my desktop or whatever.
Same here.
And the idea there, like for it to work well, is you have all the things that you know you need to do. You just write them down, so you don't have to just try to keep them in your memory, because you will forget them, or they will just kind of drag you down.
Yeah.
So just to write them down so you don't have to remember it anymore.
Exactly. Yeah.
But then the important next step is, in an ideal situation, you are every day looking at that list and reprioritizing it.
Yeah.
And then taking the top 3 priority items and moving them from to do today. Right?
Yeah.
From your backlog to what are you going to actually accomplish today?
Yeah.
And, if you only have 3 things to get, if you can get 3 high priority tasks done in a day, that was, I consider that day a win.
I think it is. I mean, one trick that work every time is like, don't judge. The first one is don't discount small victories. So like amongst your 3 items, you only did 1, but you still did something, and anytime, don't discount small victories, and then don't put judgment on anything. Basically, I mean, the least judgment you have toward others, yourself, what you've done, the happier usually you're gonna get. So the fact that you're describing how some days you will be not productive and just look at all the things you didn't achieve and feel upset. This is the perfect definition on why you didn't do anything. I mean, feeling upset was the result of not doing it and not doing anything. But it's all about like playing with the emotions, states that you have that will allow you to feel better about yourself. Because today you didn't do anything. So whether you feel upset or not, it's not going to change anything about the things that have not been done. So if you have to choose an option, just do nothing and don't be upset about it. It sounds easy like this, and it sounds like people are getting, usually when you get upset, you feel like it's happening to you. You don't feel like you are making it up. You haven't done anything. So as a result, you are playing in loop a bunch of story telling you about how tomorrow you're going to have to do twice more, and today you didn't do anything and you were not productive, and then you start to feel upset. You just feel like it's happening. So even if you're upset or anything, any type of emotion, when you start to own it and go through it, knowing that it's happening and you are making it up, then usually it loses some power on you. So you can feel upset, you can feel sad, you can feel anything you want, but if you cannot control it, what you can do is influence it or work on your relationship with this specific emotion. So this is where I'm trying to make a difference when I work with people. You know what I mean? Like you have all these ways of be productive, like go for a walk, take a shower, have this list. What was the first one that you said again? That's a good one.
I mean, exercise.
Yeah.
Get a coffee.
Right, and start a task, draft something. And then
Make
get
something.
Make
even
something.
if it's not perfect or the final.
So yeah, all of these are very good practical advices. And me, when I'm working with someone, I try to deal with the emotional side of it. So someone who's not productive, I will not endorse the responsibility of make them productive. However, we can work together into them not feeling too bad.
Right.
And it's always going to be up to them whether or not they are productive, you know? And it changes. And some coach out there will give you homework, like the one who is working with me. And for some people, it's fantastic. For some people, it gives the result that they are expecting. It's been working with me to a certain extent. So it's really about what works for you. But for example, someone might run into this podcast, hear you talking about the 3 points that you made on how to be more productive, and that might be a life changer for them.
I hope so.
Yeah.
But this does kind of, we have segued into the, I want to say the third point, not to be confused with when you just said the number 3, but the original 3. So the first one was, again, writers,
Start something.
kind of like writer's block or creativity, feeling like you're not creative.
Okay.
The second one was productivity. And then the third one was like just feeling bad.
Yeah.
For whatever reason. Now, as we've been kind of alluding to, a lot of the reasons why I feel bad in general is I feel like I'm not doing enough. I feel like, and I think in large part that's because I'm a freelancer or an entrepreneur or something. So if I was an employee, I think if I went to my job and I did my 8 hours, maybe I would feel that's enough. And then outside of that, and because now I have at least financial means to support my family or support my life, and then with my time after work, I could use that just for relaxation or spending time with friends and family or exercise, whatever was important to me. But I do personally feel, I struggle with feeling really bad about myself. And sometimes I'm able to be, not feel, sometimes I can feel great about not doing anything. But I have other people in my life that will ask me, what did I get done today? And then I'll say, oh, today I didn't get anything done. And then they'll remind me to feel bad about myself.
Yes. Well, here is a psychological trick. It's a very, very simple one. People talk about themselves. People talk about themselves constantly. They will tell you what they would feel if they were not productive. Like you said, some days you are not productive and you're feeling terrible. Some days you are not productive and you're feeling just fine. And these people, they think you shouldn't feel fine. But it's not because they're pointing at you necessarily. They're pointing at them. They're thinking, if I wasn't productive today, I would feel terrible. If I didn't achieve anything, But there's no rule in the universe that says, first, you should be productive. And secondly, you should feel this way or that way. Like, ultimately, nothing is supposed to happen anytime.
Right. If you take a big step back and you look at the fact that we're all going to die, and then this universe that we're in is also going to die.
Yeah, that's right.
These trials and tribulations about whether you got the task on your to-do list done are very, very trivial and inconsequential.
Do you remember the message I sent to my friend earlier who was telling me, oh, I want to break up with this guy and I feel guilty about it? And the thing that I said was this stupid, funny comparison. I say, some people kill others and they don't feel guilty about it. And that's the true. That's how it works. That's the nature of some of us.
Right.
Yeah.
But those people
And they not, and I want to say they're not
end up in prison.
First of all, yes, but that's just like the end result. But like it's more about their state. Some people will end up in prison and it will just feel bad that they are in prison, but not necessarily that they killed someone.
Right.
You know.
Do you think?
And not talking about psychopath who like enjoy it. They can be people.
So you can not be a psychopath and still be okay with actions that the rest of society condemns.
Okay, war. Some people go back home and feel terrible and end up depressed, and some of them even commit suicide. So, and some just follow orders, and they are not necessarily psychopaths. They just in their experience of their own reality, they just did the right thing.
Yeah.
Okay, what were you saying before? Because I went into like something very.
I've a lot recently been thinking about subjects very similar to this.
Okay.
Where, there's things that I've done that have hurt other people that I don't really feel remorseful about, if I'm to be honest.
There you go.
You know? But it seems like the kind of thing that they certainly think I should feel bad about. And also that society as a whole might think I should feel bad about.
Okay.
And then I have to wonder, does that make me a monster or is it normal? And then you start thinking about topics like war and like how extreme those situations can be. And you start to wonder about these, like if I was in those situations, what would be normal or how should one be? I think it all kind of gets to like a subject of ethics.
Yeah.
You know, like
that's the line.
You know,
because you didn't do anything illegal. I mean, not in this specific case, did you? Okay, no, I'm not gonna ask you, did you? But like, it's more about I draw the line between something that's not illegal, but you may hurt someone. Psychologically.
Here's an example. I've been struggling with a short temper, right? And I realize that it doesn't benefit me, or it doesn't really benefit anybody for me to have a short temper.
Right.
Yet here it is, right? So I try to work on ways of.
And how is it going now compared to before?
I make improvements.
Okay.
But still, I can. If I was a little too tired someday, you can be in a physiological or mental state where it's harder for you to control your impulses.
Okay.
Or harder for you to make good decisions. And I was just thinking, in this modern world, most of us don't have religion anymore.
That's right.
And religion used to be the thing that told us what was ethical and how we should behave. Like this is the blueprint of how to live a good life. But we don't have a blueprint for today's modern world anymore. I'm going to put that out there as a what would you call it? A thesis statement. And what we do have is superhero movies, and they solve all their problems with violence.
That's a good way.
Right? If you think of every Avenger movie, and like they solve all of their problems by punching the bad guy in the face.
Yeah.
And like, so how am I supposed to behave in this modern world where like the only gods I have are Iron Man and Thor and
I don't like any of this superhero movie. I don't enjoy. I'm not saying they're terrible, but I don't. I think I tried to watch a few of them. No, someone dragged me into Avenger versus something else. And it was in Vietnam here. And I watched it at the theater. And I almost slept through it. I found it very boring and very there was only like a lot of action, a lot of useless motions on the screen.
Yeah.
That's what I found. Like action scenes that would last for 20 minutes. I don't know. I don't even know. I didn't have a notion of time. I just thought it is tiring, and I don't see any depth in any of the character. I can't. I mean, maybe some kids can identify or would like to identify. They're looking for the strong, muscular guy who's beating everybody up, I guess. But like, I don't know. Me, I've never.
Well, I like most of the superhero movies, but
Huh.
in general, I do find
Like, what do you like about them though? Like, really, genuinely. Now, give me one of your favorite one. What's the name of it?
I tend to like the Avengers movies more so than any of the solo movies, because when you have this superhero versus all the bad guys, there's not really any conflict because there's no question who's going to come out on top.
Yeah.
But in the Avengers movies, you have all the superheroes coming together, and it's not about them versus the bad guy. That doesn't matter. It's about how they interact with each other.
Okay.
It's kind of like watching Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Okay.
You know, but instead of television producers, they're superheroes. But it's about the character interactions. It's not about their conflict with the bad guys.
Doesn't it bother you that there's no surprise? Ultimately, the good guys are gonna win and the bad guys are gonna lose.
Sure.
And the good guy look good and the bad guys look bad. Like there's no nuances. That's what bothers me with a lot of, I would say, American movies, but like
Yes.
I feel like sometime in a lot of American movies, they talk to you like you are a child. Look at this guy. He's the bad guy. Can you see? He just says something very bad and he looks, and everything is dark on the picture. This is the bad guy. This is the good guy. He's smiling and he looks
very
handsome.
Disney.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. And I can tell by all the millions of dollars that are being made that there's a public for that, an audience for that.
But it's the same with music as well.
Yeah,
right?
True. We could probably say that for all the every single creative field.
Everything that's being produced that is a mega hit, whether it's a video game or a stage play or pop music or a blockbuster
Was
movie,
very simplistic.
They, I would say, generally they're spending so much money on the production of it that they are conservative with the storytelling and the characterizations. They're not trying to be too risky.
That's right.
Just risky enough.
That's right.
It's all faux riskiness.
Yeah. Scorsese, the director, had I don't know if it's in the New York Times, but like in one of the newspaper, made a huge long statement about how terrible for the cinema industry all these superhero movies was, and he was putting with the right words exactly what I thought from the beginning. And I'm happy that someone that important could make this statement like with beautiful sentences and phrasing, and I thought it nailed it. That's exactly what I think. That's exactly, I felt that way as well. So you could
to echo your statement earlier, I find most movies that I go to be boring. And especially action movies, though I love action movies. As a genre, I love it. But the person who does it well is somebody like Quentin Tarantino. And what you find in most mainstream action movies is they go at 90% through most of the movie. So there's no ups and downs in terms of moments of intensity and then moments of relaxation. So once you get punched in the face repeatedly, you get numb to it, right? So whether it's the latest Star Wars movie or the latest Birds of Prey was something I saw 2 weeks ago, which is the Harley Quinn movie. You know, they're kind of just riding at 80 to 90% the whole time. They don't have big swells between high points and low points.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
And they're great exercises in aesthetics. Every single moment of those movies is beautiful if you just look at a frame of it.
This part, I agree. Absolutely. No, I'm not saying that this shouldn't be actions like superheroes movie and all these popular, very commercial movies. I'm just saying that the fact that they are there's mainly those type of movies, it kind of put in under the shadow all those great things, that masterpiece that are more, I don't know, that are different. I like that, the diversity. There should be more choices but this conversation can last forever, but basically I get it. Like, it makes money, why not doing more of it? So in that sense, it's a no-brainer. I cannot tell people not to do something that makes big money.
I mean, a factory could be making big money but polluting the water supply, and you might make a decision. Not, even though that increases profits, it's kind of a short-term consideration, and it shouldn't be done. The biggest problem is here in Vietnam, there's not a ton of diversity of cinema, right? The movies there's not an art house theater scene. So the Western movies that make it here, by and large, are Hollywood blockbusters. There's very few movies that tend towards artsy
movie, as we can call them.
Right. And a Parasite was shown here, which is a Korean movie, but it's in Korean with Vietnamese subtitles. So, not with English subtitles. So, How do you spend your time for leisure? What do you do to relax?
What I do to relax, I enjoy my coffee in Vietnam with ice and a little bit of condensed milk. No, I really enjoy the coffee scene in Saigon. Maybe less than I used to, but I go to gym and just read, drink coffee. I mean, it sounds like a boring, almost 40 years old guy. I would have looked at myself from when I was 25. If I was 25, look at my 36-year-old now, I would be thinking, oh, that looks boring. But no, I'm just fine, relaxing like that. I don't know what else I ride around sometimes. Nighttime, not daytime. Daytime is tiring, it's too hot. But I could ride around with my scooter for a good hour for no reason. Yeah.
Riding for pleasure is a completely different thing than going from point A to point B. Absolutely. Because you have to, and there's traffic the whole way.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I'll visit, I will try small streets and just try out new ways of going from a point A to where is the point? I don't even know where is the point B. Point B is going back home. What's the longest I can do?
I met somebody the other day who said some of their best. I might actually interview them tomorrow. So this might be in the next week's episode of this podcast, because I'll probably ask this guy again about this topic. But he said some of his best experiences in Vietnam have been riding motorbikes, on long trips.
Yeah.
And I told him I was afraid to do that because I don't want to get hit by a truck.
Yeah.
And he said there is some websites or application that suggest routes that are on less big roads.
Oh, that's good.
So, yeah.
What do you do then? I want to ask you the question. What do you do to?
I don't.
Chill. You don't chill. Relax. You don't relax.
Yeah.
All right.
I do enjoy drinking coffee, but in a way, I'm just hyping myself up with that.
Okay.
Right.
Okay. Do you do meditation or anything?
I used to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How did it go when you were doing it?
It became I did it every morning for 10 years.
Wow.
I would go to my master's.
Should be enlightened by now.
I was.
There you go.
And I lost it.
Oh, but it's up to you to catch up.
I was, and I didn't like it because I didn't care about the world anymore. It didn't matter. And it made it hard to talk to people
Okay.
in a way that it made it hard to have like meaningful connections with people.
Okay.
And then I fell out of it.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
But
No, sure. That can be, I guess, that could also be a side effect for some people.
Here's the thing that is the biggest takeaway, though, is in my normal state, if I'm riding my motorbike and I hear a car honk behind me, I told you I have a short temper. If I'm riding my motorbike, which is a tense situation in the first place, and a car honks behind me, I get this surge of energy that rushes up. And it's very much like a lizard brain response, I think. I feel hot, and then
It goes all the way up to your finger, the middle finger.
Yeah, that's right. and the dialogue, interior dialogue is, fuck you, car driver, honking at me. I'm allowed to be where I am. Why are you in such a hurry? Why do you get to take priority over me just because you're in a car?
Right.
I'm driving the speed limit. You know? But in that other state, the response is honking. That's it. It's not he's honking at me. It's just, oh, there is honking happening. That's it. And
that sounds good.
That's definitely in those cases, that's preferable. I'm going to give myself cancer with all this reactive, taking everything so personally, you know?
Like you got it. Like there's no, you understand, you tried both. Why? You tried both way. Honking, and then the other option is like you take it for yourself and it makes you mad. I mean, I guess to me, there's no, I don't believe you can like be 100% enlightened all the time. Maybe some people are, obviously, but I'm just saying that it's okay to be short-tempered sometimes, and it's okay to be sad sometimes. It's okay to be angry sometimes. It's really about like, what is your relationship with it, you know? And as long as it serves, as long as you feel like it serves you, like any behavior serves you, then there's not going to be any reason for you to change it. And I'm saying it as a statement, not a judgment. It's really, some people will have short temper forever until they grow old, and they will be this grumpy old man who, when the ball from the kid is landing in his garden, he's going to take the ball and he's just going to stab it with a knife. So you can choose a bit this way. And like he thinks, this guy, this old man thinks that he's been angry his whole life for a reason. And he has what he might consider good reasons. Like people don't respect the rules and, you know, whatever. But it's all about like, maybe he doesn't want to be happy. You know, I believe most of people want to be happy. Some people, they want to be happy, but with a condition. And this is when trouble usually starts. Like, I'm going to be happy when that people don't talk to me like that. I'm going to be happy when I reach this much money. I'm going to be happy when I finish my coffee. Like, anytime you add condition, then you postponing happiness, but you can postpone it forever.
I somehow fetishize assholes.
Okay.
I don't mean...
Because they are better at picking up girls.
It's just like that old man who takes the soccer ball that was kicked into his yard and he stabs it. I'm kind of like, that was cool. You know, it's
funny as a story, it's funny to tell. But like, if you make it a movie and this old man is depressed because he has nobody and he's lonely, then you can turn it into something very sad. It's just that the way you tell a story, you can turn it into something funny. But that's why I love comedy, by the way.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of, in a way, what Larry David's character is in Curb Your Enthusiasm, right? Though he rarely does something uh, malefic- mal-
Malicious?
malicious. He rarely does something out of straight maliciousness. It's like he does things because he believes that this is the right
Righteousness.
way out of righteousness. There you go.
Okay. Okay.
Right?
Out of righteousness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it just so happens that his righteousness is annoying for everybody else around him.
Yeah. You know, that reminds me of a post I saw on Facebook on some expat groups a while ago. Not following these groups anymore. It's too much of a burden. And this American dude was spilling all of the rage he could about the driving in Vietnam. So the honking of the cars and people cutting your way. And he would be very, very mad at it. And I think as someone from a Western country, you come here in Vietnam and you expect the rules to be followed the same way they are back home, you're gonna suffer. You know, I think Vietnam helped me to be more calm in that sense, because now it doesn't bother me so much anymore, like what people do. Like, you see someone going the wrong way on the road, I used to be scared first, then angry, then frustrated, then he's not supposed to be on that way, it's a one-way street, and he almost hit me. But then once you realize that, okay, now the rule in Vietnam is that this is not a rule, then you just, now you're going to be mindful next time. You're just going to take the street. It's a one-way street, but you know anybody could come and drive, cut your way and do all these sort of things.
I really appreciate that you've been able to transition like that.
Yeah.
For me, it's been almost the opposite.
Yeah, it's worse. It's getting worse.
At the beginning, I had the mindset of, oh, look how different it is. This is exciting.
Yeah.
And I've become less tolerant over time towards it. Maybe recently I'm kind of reached the bottom and I'm starting to go back up again. Become more forgiving as I try to deal with my just latent anger and stuff. But it's hard for me. It's been pointed out to me by my girlfriend that I'm too critical of everyone and everything.
Okay.
And my reply was, that's who I am. Like, that's my core identity.
That's another interesting topic we could cover. But
it's what makes me a designer.
Okay.
Right? Is that I'm able to see things and see what's bad about them, and then be like, we should fix that bad thing, and then we'd have a good thing.
So as a agent of help, hypnotherapist, the only thing I just want to say about that is that being critical and wanting things to be better or different, or see things a certain way and feeling like they could be a different way, it's like you said, as a designer, as a creative person, it's fantastic. It's actually what the quality you want, because what designer will look at everything and be like, that's perfect, why would I need to create a new lamp or a new couch? But I think the only problem right here is just the emotion that you attach to it. Because you can be critical of everything and not being bothered by it. Just instead of feeling frustrated, you can just see challenges, or you can just see, oh, here's a very different way to see things. I think something better can be done, and I believe it's really a mind gymnastic to kind of do,
I wonder though, because a lot of designers are the T-type, like Ian, was it like INTJ? I don't know which one's the architect, but I'm definitely an F-type. So I process things by the way they make me feel, generally. So when I'm bothered by something's design, it's a visceral gut feeling like I'm going to throw up is what is my first reaction. And then later I can try to analyze it and figure out what's causing that unsettling feeling in my gut about a system or an object.
Okay, I'm just going to make a short statement. Whenever you see yourself, I don't know what's this type thing, but like if you have a label for who you are, then you're not going to tend to change anything. It's if it's you and you believe it's you, then why would you bother changing anything? Because you really believe that there's an F-type and the F-type is you. You are the F-type. You are in this category of people, of creative people. So it's been very precise. So then you ultimately always have this, reaction. And people believe what they want to believe. It's, when you want to change, that's something I say in my practice sometime. If you want to change, then you're going to have to change something. It sounds ridiculous and logic, but most people don't get it. If you want to change something, you're going to have to change something. Yeah. So not dismissing the type thing, but a little bit, yes, dismissing it, because we are people, brain is plastic. It's something that can be modulate, evolve, and change, and does change over time anyway. So why not using it to our advantages? Yeah, driving in Vietnam, wide topic. Driving in Vietnam, I still get mad sometimes, but for different things than before. Slow drivers. I think slow drivers tend to create a little bit of stress sometime to me. So I would just take them over very fast and very close to them to show that I'm taking you over right now.
Right. So the taking them over is fine, but this whole and close to them so they know that you're upset.
That's really it's rare.
Yeah.
Okay. I get a little tense sometimes.
I mean, I found this
because
recently.
you still find it necessary to pass a message.
Right. So here's something I've been discovering. I mean, you think at 40 years old, I should have discovered this 20 or 30 years ago.
There's no shoot, don't worry.
But here I am at 40, only discovering it last week. But okay, this is very quotable. Sometimes we want to express our feeling through action because we're not expressing our feeling through words. But it normally results in a mess that has to be cleaned up. And it's not worth the work it takes to clean up that mess, to have expressed yourself in that way. For instance, if you were angry and to express that anger, you decided to break a glass on the ground. The amount of time it takes you to find all those small glass pieces in every corner of your house and clean it up, it's it would have been better just to say, you know what, I'm really upset right now, and I don't like the way that you're treating me or talking to me. Or, that would have. You would have. I mean, it's just better. It's what I'm discovering is that sometimes you feel so angry. Normally it's anger.
Yeah.
I mean, if you did some grand gesture out of love or compassion, and and here is flowers for you. I mean, nobody's going to be upset about that, right? So it's more like when you do these grand gestures out of frustration or either frustration or anger, because you're I want you to know that you're driving too slow, and now look at me driving close to you.
Yeah, that's how people get killed.
And it's how people get killed. And wouldn't that be a mess that's harder to clean up than having? Here's the problem.
Having stated it, yeah, definitely.
I guess the problem that happens oftentimes while you're driving.
Yeah.
We're talking about road rage in the United States, where everybody's in their own car.
Yeah.
You don't have a way to actually talk to the other driver.
Right.
Right. I'm in my bubble. They're in their bubble. I can't have a conversation with them to let them know that I'm upset. So how do I
Right.
do it? Like, what tools do I have? I can honk, I can whatever, right?
Yeah.
And honk is not like a great communication tool
No.
because there's only
Well, in Vietnam, people use it differently, right? I feel like in France, for example, if you honk, it's like almost a provocation that you're gonna.
America too.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
But in here, you honk for just to state that you are around. Be careful. I'm not too far from you. I don't want you to bump onto my scooter, and I don't want to bump. Like you just make people aware that you are around. I think 99% of the honks in Vietnam are just, "Hey, I'm here."
That's why I advocate that bikes should have 2 horns.
Oh, the small one and the
A hello horn and an angry horn.
Oh,
you know?
That's not. Yeah. I wonder if people would be using it like correctly, because maybe they will be thinking that it's more practical to use the loud one, because then they can hear me from
They would be
far away.
they would be the same loudness. But one
Okay.
would have like a
One is like it has this tone that's nicer. It's like a woman,
right, like
and the other one is-
imagine these tones like versus
yeah.
don't know how that's gonna.
Talking about design and sound design creativity, here is a fantastic feature that we need absolutely. I don't know if anyone from the Vietnamese or whatever motorbike regulation in the world
Yeah, you
heard
could use
that.
it for cars too.
And for cars too.
Yeah.
See,
A happy horn and an angry horn.
we had a conversation, you were not expecting that, and suddenly you came up with this idea.
I've had it before, you know.
Okay.
Yeah, but just re-triggered the memory.
Yeah, that's great. That's a good one.
But the same thing could happen, I think, let's say with foreigners in Vietnam,
Right.
or a foreigner in any country where
They can
the
be,
population doesn't speak your own language.
Yeah.
You could, I'm going to put this out as another theory. You could potentially have a much bigger reaction than you should because of the language barrier. You feel like you don't have the tools to communicate verbally
Right.
how that you're upset.
Yeah.
And so instead you yell and shout and
Right.
shake your fist or whatever.
Okay.
It's just a theory.
Yeah. Okay, let's talk about girls. I don't know. We talked about cars.
Are you dating anybody?
Yeah, it's been a couple of years now. Yeah.
Is it the girl that you were with at the cafe the other day?
No, that was no. The one. She's a friend. She's a friend. That one's a friend. It's a very good friend. Her name's Her name's Winnie. She's very cool. But no, we're not together, and we don't intend to. Yeah.
But does your girlfriend know about Winnie?
Yeah. Oh, come on. Yeah. Obviously.
Is she jealous of Winnie?
No. Nobody's jealous. I can't date jealous people. That's a very cold statement to say that I can't date jealous people. I guess when I started date someone, this is probably one of the threats I'm like trying to spot, because I don't want to live it with this kind of pressure with someone who's, I don't know, checking my phone, asking me where I was, who am I seeing, who's this girl, all these questions. I don't want them.
Yeah.
Usually when if this, I can remember I had a relationship with this girl and she started to have this kind of questions, and it ended up not too long after. And I think it's linked. It's complicated. And also because I'm not jealous. So I feel that there's no way someone will be jealous of my, like, have jealous behavior when I don't have it. So I need to find, it's like a balance. And I'm not saying, okay, jealousy is not something that you shouldn't have or can't feel sometimes. It's fine, but it's when it goes over the top and it starts to affect me and my life and regulate my life. And suddenly I have this report to make about where I was, with who, for how long. Ugh, I don't. Are you a jealous type? Are you?
My girlfriend is.
Your girlfriend is, okay.
And it gets old fast. And,
Right.
I mean,
Yeah.
I'm exhausted.
Yeah.
Baby, stop.
I don't know. What can I say? People who are jealous because usually they are insecure. I don't know. Everybody knows that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, they are insecure about themselves. They think that you're gonna find someone better, and there's this whole thing about. I'm not saying the problem is that when, let's say, we'll take this example. Let's say I have another girlfriend and she's very jealous. That will tend to push me into looking for someone else.
It's a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Yes.
Yeah.
I would tend to be looking into finding a girl who's not annoying me with that. So then she would be jealous for a reason as well. Oh, there's this as well. When are you dating? Are you seeing another girl? At some point, as a guy, you might be thinking, maybe I should date another girl. It's like she's almost putting seeds into your mind about maybe that would be better if you were dating someone else. That's how I feel about that.
My girlfriend very strongly doesn't want me to have any communication with any of my ex-girlfriends.
Right.
Which is tough because I consider most of my ex-girlfriends still to be friends.
Okay.
And for a year or two, she would ask me, like, when was the last time you talked to your ex? I mean, a specific ex, like the most recent ex.
Okay.
Before her. And always the answer was not for a few months. But now that you've mentioned it, I'm kind of, let me go look at her Facebook. Let's see I'm kind of curious now. And she continually plant that seed in my head. So.
Yeah, it's a dangerous game to be jealous, I would say. The thing is, girls don't, and that's fair for them. I don't even know how to phrase that, but girls don't want to be cheated on, right? And they think that by being jealous, they will prevent it when they actually encourage it. My statement on that would be, if he's going to cheat, he's going to cheat anyway. So why would you? It's the same thing like what I was saying with emotions, being angry when you are driving and anything. Like it's happening anyway, So whether or not you're jealous, if he's going to cheat, he's going to cheat. So don't. It's not necessary, Sharing your concern sometime because you feel like someone could be a threat. That's one thing. But like policing, controlling, trying to control what your partner is doing, I would say it's you're creating a threat that wasn't there before. Yeah, that's how I see it.
I would get in trouble if I didn't mention this. It's like not like I haven't had behavior in the past that would.
Yeah.
That would. I've had behavior in the past that.
Well, you can say
gives a girlfriend a valid reason to feel insecure. Sure,
yeah, you've been cheating, and she knows that, and now she feels like it could happen again, right?
Right.
No, if we make it simple.
Right, sure, yeah, right.
Yeah.
For example, but not necessarily specifically. But for example.
Yeah, in a different world. But once again, I'm not going to change my line of thought on that. It's the same thing. That was you at some point. If it's not you right now, then why would she bother?
Which I guess
Is there anything that we could say? Okay, I'm gonna leave you guys with this quote.
Yeah.
All we are is change.
Well, you were kind of saying that earlier. I do think that gets to a good point. So if you made it all the way to the end of this video and you have one takeaway, my one takeaway from this conversation with Julien is that I shouldn't assume that I'm a certain way and incapable of change, that I should be more relaxed in my definition of what or who I am, and thus more able to pivot who I am into a better me.
Yeah, that's a great thing. And to open the conversation, to open the topic for you later, checking for yourself, there's no such thing as like an identity. like a self. And there are a lot of interesting theories on what's consciousness, awareness, and how we are just thoughts. Basically, you're reconstructing who you are from your thought, from yesterday thoughts.
Who is reconstructing those thoughts?
Who? Everybody.
No.
Oh, yeah. Who is exactly. There's no...
That's the question.
Exactly. Who?
Yeah. Who?
Yeah.
One of the, if you ever do Zen training, there's a concept called a koan, which is a illogical question that has no answer other than perhaps screaming or slapping a table or just some, nonsensical answer. But all the koans come down to basically asking, who am I? Whether those are the words that you're using or not, but that's kind of what it is. And so, or who is asking this question,
Yeah, the only constant thing is change. That's a different way to phrase it. What I said before. Okay.
If people want to learn more about your practice, do you have like a website or?
I don't have a website yet, but I have a Facebook page that I'm trying to keep active. And I put some videos on it sometimes, giving practical advices regarding everyday psychological problems like anxiety, fear, phobia, addiction. So it's free knowledge, basically. You can just go and check it. These videos are not too long either. They're like 5 minutes each. I've made few of them, and I intend to have more for the new year, 2020. And my page is fb.com/julien.noyer.hypnotherapy. And it's probably going to be written.
It'll be in the show notes. It will be on the screen as well. Julien, thanks for hanging out today.
Thank you again.
Awesome to reconnect with you.
Yeah. After all this time.
Yeah. And that's it. Thanks, everyone. Be sure to like and subscribe. Check out Julien's page. And we'll see you next week. Hey, we'll see you next week.
Goodbye, guys.